All right, so now we brought these in, we imported this in, and look what happened when I dragged it down to this box here, this timeline here. It automatically added another icon there. I wish I could make that bigger for you to see. It's a little symbol. It's actually called the composition. Okay, so when you bring things in, they're stored over in this window, and I honestly can't remember what this window is called. It's kind of like a library. It just basically holds all your stuff. When you drag anything, whether it's a static image, when you drag a collection like this, or if you dragged a static image into a blank composition here, it automatically gives it a brand new name, and it named it Bicep Flex because that's the first word in my file name there. And I can right mouse on these things and rename them if I'd like. Okay, so compositions are going to be the container for all your elements, including the way you edit them. This library here to the left is just going to be a container to hold stuff exactly as it came in, exactly as it exists. Here in the composition, we're going to actually start to change it. Okay, so if I have a timeline here, very much like the one in Maya. If I scrub, you can see, or if I want to use this preview window and play, I can see what I'm seeing. I can, how big is that for you? This is, I'll be honest with you, one of the nice things about 3500, the lab next door, is the big Cintiq monitors. You know, at home I have my laptop and I have the Cintiq, and you would think I'd work on the Cintiq, but I still work on the laptop, and I have all the other stuff on the Cintiq. Because one thing about After Effects, it just takes a lot of real estate. It's got a lot of different menus. Okay, so we've got 4 seconds worth of stuff going on here. But what we'd like to do is add a title. Okay, and I want to put the title somewhere. Let's say I put the title alongside. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go, if I want to add anything to this composition and it doesn't exist here, I can use this thing layer and say new. And then there's several different kinds of layers. We're only going to talk about a couple of them. When I want to add text or a title, I'm going to say text. Okay, so now I have an empty text layer. There's a little box there, and I think if I click here, I can type. Yeah, that's kind of off the screen there, isn't it? This is a wee bit of an odd shape. This square generally doesn't fit the format of a lot of things. It can, but it's going to go right through there. So let's make our composition bigger. We're going to go to the composition settings, and we're going to make this a little bigger. So this is the dimension I rendered out of Maya. So I'm going to change that to make it, let's say, 700. And I'm going to actually, I want this, this text to have a period of time they can read the title. And then I want to go to the animation. So right now I've got 4 seconds, and all I can do is see just the animation, right? So I'm going to add 2 seconds to the movie. Okay? And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go down to this duration, and I'm going to change this to 6. Okay? I'm going to change that to 6 even. So now I have 6 seconds. Now the background color right now is white. I can change that, bless you, I can change that color here if I'd like. Okay? And you can see in the screen next to me the effect it's having.
Can you put pictures in the background, or would that be another layer?
Yeah, it would be another layer. Yeah, that's a good question. So the only thing I can do here is change the background color with flat color. But I can make anything the bottom layer. I can render something in Maya as a static image, bring that TIFF file in. I can bring in just Photoshop files, Illustrator files, any kind of file I want. Photographs. Let's just take this down a little bit. All right, let's pretend we like that. Okay. All right, so now I've got some stuff going on here. Let's see if we can fix it. First of all, look at what happened here. See this red box? That's just an arbitrary color here that the software gives me, and that's the color the text is. If I click on that, you notice I get these little handles around my text block, and if I use this, I can move that somewhere. And I'm not real big on the way that's set up. Okay? Now, if I don't like the color or if I don't like the font, there is a character window, very similar to what you see in Illustrator. Okay. I'm sorry?
I'm just stretching.
Oh, okay, okay. So you can, if you want to change the color, whatever you want to do there, you can. Okay, you can take an eyedropper, pick something up from the screen, and match it that way. Okay, so one thing you want to think about when you do the colors, you really don't want to use a lot of different colors, generally in any kind of illustration. You want to use a lot of different values of a small set of colors. If you want something to get united, if you want something to feel cohesive, you want to limit the variety of colors. But you can make it rich, make it feel like it's got a lot of colors in it by changing values or saturations of those hues. Do you understand what I'm saying? So often what I'll do is I'll pick up a color from something else in my illustration, and I'll use that to make the type. And then maybe if I want, I'll take that, I'll decrease its value a little bit, or I'll increase its saturation a little bit, but I'm really still in the same family of color. Okay? That makes sense, y'all? Is that me? No. Oh, thanks. That's okay. All right. Now, the other problem you can see is I really don't want this arm in the middle here. So I'm going to move the arm over here. So right now I have the two layers. The title is up top, and you can see where its length. Now, I know you can't read this, but I can show you here. This is 0. This says 0.12 frame. Okay, 0.12 frame. That means it's frame 12. We're on a 24 frame per second. And remember, that's in here. Okay, because mine is set that way doesn't mean yours is going to be set that way in the lab. So watch what the frames per second is set to. Okay, when you bring make sure it matches what you did in Maya. Okay. So that's under the composition settings. Okay, so we've got the title in, we've got our animation moved to the side, and we recognize now that the title is going to play for a little over a second. So I looked up last night on the internet, I cruised the Google, and I said, okay, how long is the title supposed to be on the screen? And what it said was, it's supposed to be on the screen long enough for you to read it slowly as if you were reading to a child, and then maybe a little more. So let's see. Flexing the oh shit, now I take that too. So it went off, okay, it went out. So I can't do that, or I need more time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna stretch this. See what I've done? I've come down to this red bar, and as I bring the arrow to the end of the red bar, I get a double arrow, which means I can go either way. So now I'm just saying this static image is going to stay on the screen longer. So let's make it 2 seconds. Let's see if that makes sense. So I'll go back to the beginning. Flexing the antebrachium. Oh, that was good. All right, so we'll leave that there. But now here's my problem. I don't want the animation to start right away, right? Okay. So I don't know if you can see it because it's very small. At the bottom of this timeline, there's a wee little bit of mountains and a big set of mountains. Big mountains, little mountains. If you bring the thing to the little mountains, it lets you see more of the timeline. There's just scales down. So right now it's showing me the very end, 6 seconds. Okay, all the way from 0 to 6 seconds. So I'm going to move my animation. I'm not changing it by grabbing the front or the end. I'm actually right in the middle, and I'm just dragging it. And what happens is I run out of time before the title is done. See what I'm saying? See how these two boxes overlap? Can you see the maroon one, or is it too dark?
No.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is go back to my composition, and I'm going to add another second. So in other words, I'm adding 24 more frames to this. And what I've always found is it's much easier to clip it, to take it off, than it is to add it. So go ahead and make it a little longer, and you can reduce it if you want to. Okay. All right, so now we've got a title that then quickly jumps to an animation. Okay.